All right. So I'm behind on the video, so I apologize. I'm going to try to get all of them in as quickly as I can. This is the Napoleonic Wars video. We're still talking about Napoleon. And so this is his attempt to conquer Europe. And so we're going to talk just about how that he tried to conquer Europe. And he actually did a pretty good job of it at first. But the thing about Napoleon is he really tried to do too much too soon. He was greedy. He was we've already talked about he was confident, and he was extremely confident. But at some point, he also was a little overconfident, and you can be that. You can be like so confident about your abilities that you become almost well, you do become like very what's the word I'm looking for? Just careless in what you do. And this is what we're going to see that he does. Now, if you were to talk to anybody about Napoleon, they're not going to really know that he cleaned up the streets of Paris and that he created banks and he created schools. They're going to know about his military conquest. And that's actually okay because that's what he's known for is his military conquest. And so this is what we're going to talk about today is military power. When Napoleon becomes consul in 1799, France is at war with several countries. They're at war with Russia, Great Britain, and Austria. And he immediately realizes that in order to establish any type of peace or any type of stability in France, he's going to have to pause those wars that are going on outside of France because there's still turmoil and they're still fighting for the French Revolution in France. So he's going to have to make sure that he's able to help the people of France before he can do anything else. So he signs a peace treaty with those countries that they're fighting, but again, and this is where he sets up the economy, he sets up the banking, he sets up the schools, but he's just greedy. He wants power. So even though he sets up a peace treaty, he's a little anxious. He's a little unwilling to wait any longer. And so he starts the war with Britain again by 1803. Britain is going to be joined by Austria, Russia, Sweden, and Prussia against France. Now, Prussia and Russia are not the same countries. Prussia is basically a conglomerate, a big, huge section of little Germanys. And there's a map on here where you'll see like where Prussia is in relationship to today. And there's also a border map, interactive border map that I'll start showing a little bit later on to kind of show you like how borders changed. But from 1805 to 1807, Napoleon's Grand Army will defeat all these countries except Great Britain. And he now has an opportunity to create a new European order. But again, this is where he becomes greedy, and this is where he becomes just impatient, and he cannot continue to wait any longer. Now, this is the map. You'll see this is Prussia. This is like where Germany is today and where, other small Germanic countries are. This is Austria and Habsburg. You'll see right over here is like the French Empire. So this is Prussia. It's not to be confused with Russia, not the same country. Okay, so his Grand Empire is composed of three major parts. The French Empire, which France, but it's also colonies like Haiti, the Dominican Republic. So anywhere where he is directly the emperor of. Dependent states. Now, dependent states are kingdoms under the rule of his relatives or people that he trusts. Now, how that works is that they are technically in charge, but everything has to go through him. Like they're dependent on him. So think of the word dependent. They're dependent on him for everything. And then allied states. Um, so allied states are those that are defeated by Napoleon but are forced to join his struggle against Britain. So these are Prussia, Austria, Russia, and Sweden. So what happens is that, these leaders that are in power in Prussia, Austria, Russia, and Sweden, he says you can stay in power, but you're going to have to join in my struggle, in my fight against Great Britain. And so, I mean, like, they feel like they don't really have a choice at this point, and they're going to kind of do it to humor him, um, because they want to stay in power, one, and two, like, they're war weary also. They've lost men, they've lost supplies, war costs a lot of money, and they don't want to continue fighting. So they're willing to just kind of let this happen. Okay. So this is his grand empire. He's hoping that it's going to last for centuries, but it collapses almost as soon as it's formed. And two major reasons for this is Britain. He cannot conquer Britain, and then just idea of nationalism. Britain cannot be conquered either overland or especially overseas. And he thinks that he can beat Britain on the Navy. He gets ships from Spain. And he just does not understand how he can't beat them. And he just is not aware, or just will not understand, that Britain's Navy compares to no one else in the world. They are absolutely the best in the world. And so, like, he quickly understands that he cannot defeat them through on water, that's something that they cannot do. I'm videoing right now. What's up?
It says I turned it in. Okay, and I have a grade for it, but it says right here that I haven't done.
Okay. Well, hold on a second. I'm videoing. I don't think I can stop this real quick. Let me check on it, and then I'll get back with you. Okay, just leave that here with me. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. So Napoleon will. Sorry about that. Napoleon will start something then called. He calls it a continental system. And the continental system is an idea that he has that will stop trade between Britain and the countries that he's conquered. So Britain cannot trade with any of the countries in Europe that he's conquered, and they can't trade with Britain. And he thinks that this is going to weaken Britain economically, so then that they cannot wage wars. So if he is weakening Britain economically, then he can go in and conquer Britain because they won't have money for troops, for supplies, for weapons, for ships. And so then he can take over. Well, what he doesn't understand is that not only do they have ships for war, they have trade ships. So they're like, Britain's like, okay, we'll just start trading with America, with South America, with India, with Africa, and with the other Asian countries. Inadvertently, like by accident, Napoleon creates Britain to be the biggest and richest country in the world. And this is where Britain will create all of the colonies that they create from here on out. And they become the strongest and richest country in the world because of this. Because they're like, if I can't, if I can't, if I can't trade with you, I'll trade with someone else. Sorry, I'm doing a real quick video. I'm almost done. So the continental system will fail because the Allied states will resent being told by Napoleon that they couldn't trade with Britain, and others will just begin to cheat. Another important factor is the rise in nationalism. And we'll talk about nationalism in another unit, so just you can read over that real quick. But we'll introduce nationalism a little bit more and a little bit longer. And then we will then come back and talk about Russia and his defeat there.